Hello, good morning everyone. Good morning, grade 7.
Uh,
Good morning. Okay, so may I request everyone to please open your camera as we are about to start the class.
may
Open na ng camera. Faith, Elijah. Sige, go ahead. Vien, please open your cam. JM, Prince. Nagbakasyon si PLDT. Okay, so before we start, let us pray first. Vien, kindly lead the prayer.
Let's close our eyes and bow our head and think of Jesus as we pray. Lord, thank you po sa araw na ito na nakapasok po kami na safe and sana po gabayan niyo po kami ngayong klase po namin. Sana po maging okay po ang lahat and sana nandyan po kayo parati sa tabi namin. Huwag na huwag niyo po kami papabayaan and ilayo niyo po kami sa kapahamakan. Lord, sana po lagi po niyo po kaming iingatan. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Again, good morning everyone. How's your day so
po,
far? Kumusta?
kailan
Hindi
po,
po masaya.
Okay, that's good to hear. I hope na everyone is doing well at this point in time. Anyway, let's have a quick shot of our virtual classroom frame for your attendance. Ready? Open na ng cam, lahat. There are still some of you na naka-off yung cam. Si Prince. Okay, so let's have an attendance. Please give your best smiles. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ayun. Thank you. By the way, do we have absentees for today? Meron ba? President, kindly list down the names of your classmates who are absent for today. Then later on, I'll ask a copy of it, okay? After the class. Thank you. Okay, so before we start, I just want to remind you of our virtual classroom rules. Let me share my screen first. Yeah, so let's wait for yun. Okay, so again, as I've said, let me just remind every one of you of our virtual classroom rules. So the first thing we need to consider always is to be on time. Dapat palagi tayong maagang pumapasok. Ayan. So at least 5 minutes dapat nasa class na tayo. And then always be prepared and always turn on your camera. Unless, kasi there are instances na kapag nagka-crash yung ating presentation, so that's the time that I will allow you to turn off your camera. So I am encouraging you that all throughout the discussion, dapat naka-turn on yung camera ninyo. Clear? Okay. So next naman, do not eat, syempre. Then always dress appropriately. Dapat palagi tayong nasa proper dress code upon entering our class. Then mute your microphone unless you are given or you are acknowledged to answer a certain question, then you may unmute your microphone for a while. Okay? So that's the time you can unmute your microphone. And then if you have question, just raise your hand. Nakikita naman kayo sa ating frame. And then, of course, this is the parang general rule. Enjoy learning. Always enjoy learning. Okay? Okay, so before we proceed to the discussion or to the topic that is set to be discussed today, let us have first a review about the topic that we discussed last meeting. In our previous discussion, if you still remember, we discussed lines in a plane, right? Tama ba? Natatandaan pa? Sige nga, if you still recall the lessons that we tackled last meeting, can anyone please tell me how many parallel lines do we have in this example or in this presentation? How many parallel lines? Yes, Sanjo.
3 po, tatlo.
Very good. We have 3 parallel lines. Very good, Sanjo. And what colors are those that are parallel?
Blue, red, and purple po.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Sanjo. We have the blue lines, the red lines, and the violet lines. Those are example of parallel lines, okay? How about how many intersecting lines do we have dito sa ating presentation? Kung tatlo yung parallel lines, ilang intersecting lines meron tayo? Yes, same person raising his hand. Elijah?
3 po.
Are you sure? We only have 3 intersecting lines. Are you sure? Oh, you try to let check.
4.
Yes, we have 4 intersecting lines in this given presentation. Very good, Elijah. So we have these yellow lines, the green lines, which are perpendicular, and then we also have these pink lines, although hindi siya nag-meet sa ating presentation, pero as these lines extend, so may point talaga, there's a certain point na mag-meet sila. And then we also have these orange lines, okay? Review pa tayo. This question, why do parallel lines do not meet? Anyone? Bakit hindi nagmi-meet o hindi nag-intersect yung parallel lines? What's the reason? Jack? Do you still remember yung sinabi ko?
Kasi po, equidistant po sila.
Yes, very good. Very good, Jack. Thank you. So the reason why parallel lines do not meet, it's because they are equidistant. Meaning to say, these lines are same distance apart from each other. So hindi talaga sila magbi-meet. Yung corresponding points nila are same distance from each other. So as it extends, ganun pa rin yung distance nila. So that's the reason kung bakit hindi talaga sila nagmi-meet. Okay? What are the 2 types of intersecting lines? Daniel, what are the 2 types of intersecting lines?
Perpendicular po and non-perpendicular.
Yes, very good, Daniel. This class is doing great so far. So the 2 types of intersecting lines are perpendicular and non-perpendicular lines. When do we say that intersecting lines are perpendicular? When do intersecting lines become perpendicular? Anyone? Just raise your hand. If they intersect at what? At what angle? Gab. Nakalimutan na?
Wala po ko doon.
Okay. Sanjo, natatandaan pa ba? Hindi na din. Okay, so we consider intersecting lines as perpendicular if these lines intersect at a right angle or kapag nag-intersect sila sa 90 degrees. So that's the time na kino-consider natin yung intersecting lines as perpendicular lines. Okay? Always remember that. Okay? Fourth question, what do we call lines that are found in the same plane? Last na lang to sa ating review. Nakalimutan na naman. Vien, natatandaan pa ba? Anong tawag natin kasi sa lines na nakikita natin sa same plane? Anyone? Jack, do you still remember? What do we call lines that are found in the same plane? It starts with letter C. Ko what? Gab, di pa rin nakikita. Yes, Alicia, yan.
Coordinator po.
Coordinator. Thank you for sharing idea, but that's not the correct answer. We call them coplanar lines. Ayan, coplanar. Tandaan natin yon, coplanar lines. From the words itself, coplanar. So these lines line or lie in the same plane. Always remember that. Okay? Tandaan nyo yun kasi concept yan sa basic geometric idea, or that's one of the basic geometric ideas. So tandaan nyo yon. Ayan. Okay, so alam ko na it is your first subject. So there are some of you na siguro inaantok pa. So for the meantime, let us shortly cut this the discussion. Let us perform instead, or let us instead perform some sort of stretching para mabuhayan tayo and ma-energize tayo yung ating mga bodies, okay? So ganito yan. Kapag sinabi kong right angle, all you have to do is to create, gumawa kayo ng L shape using your arms. Sige nga, can you please follow? Yan, gawa kayo ng L shape using your arms. Lahat mag-participate. Ganito, yung hindi nag-participate, magsusolo mamaya. Sige. Oh, gawa ng L shape using your arms. Ayan. So that is a right angle. Kapag naman sinabi kong acute angle, so yung right hand niyo, ano pa rin yan, ganyan pa rin, straight pa rin na horizontal. Then yung left hand nyo, diagonal siya, pointing upper right. Oh, you do this one. Ayan. Kapag naman obtuse angle, yung right hand, straight pa rin, so, na horizontal. Then the left hand, it's diagonal, pointing upper left. Ganyan. Okay? And then kapag straight angle, syempre, straight lang natin yung hands natin. Straight lang. Okay? Sige nga, let's try right angle. Right angle. Isa lang yung gumagawa. May mga magsusolo mamaya. Right angle. Acute angle. Obtuse angle. Yan, very good. Straight angle. And syempre, okay, very good. Syempre, hindi makukontento si Sir Paul na basta stretching lang. So we will jive to a music. So I will be presenting a music. So kapag narinig ninyo yung kind of angle, all you have to do is to perform the hand movement na tinuro ko. Uulitin ko, yung hindi nag-participate, magsusolo mamaya. Do you hear it? Sige, sasabayan ko kayo. Right angle muna.
Right angle, feet is 90 degrees. We say acute
Acute
angle.
angle.
Less than 90 degrees. We say obtuse
Obtuse
angle.
angle.
More than 90 degrees. In a straight
Then straight angle.
angles. 1,
Yan, very good. Isa pa, right angle.
It is 90 degrees, we say acute
Acute
angle.
angle.
Less than 90 degrees, we say obtuse angle. More than 90 degrees, in a straight angles, 180.
Okay. Ito na.
The types of angles are
Right,
acute,
acute,
obtuse. The
obtuse.
types of angles are
Right, acute, obtuse.
and a straight angle,
Straight angle.
is 180 degrees. Now everybody sing it with me.
Another one. Right, acute, obtuse.
The types of angles
Yan,
are
very good. Right, acute, obtuse.
and a straight angle is 180 degrees. You'll do real well if you know all of these.
Ay, yan. So, I guess you are now more motivated and you are now more prepared to learn new math lessons. Nag-enjoy ba? Wala akong nakitang hindi sumayaw. Ewan ko lang. Okay. Thank you for having that. I'll present again my screen. Ayan. Okay, class. So, please tingin sa camera ko. Wag mo na sa presentation. So, I have here a treasure chest, which I call chest of knowledge. Nakikita ba? Hindi yata. Yan. I call it chest of knowledge. So, there are objects inside this chest. And for you to know this, the objects that are inside this chest, so we should unlock it first. And for you to unlock it, we will be doing anagram. Okay, so when we say anagram, I will be providing some words, and then all you have to do is to reshuffle the order of the letters for you to create another word. Okay, so let's have the first one. So we have 5 words here. So the first word is glints. Or you try to reshuffle the order of the letters to create new word. Anyone na nakakita na sa word? Yes, Jack.
Angles po.
Very good. So the word is angles. Very good, Jack. Let's have the second one, the second word, girth. What's the word na pwede nating mabuo? Oh, yes, Sanjo.
Right.
Right. Very good. Very good, Sanjo. Third word, butios. Butios is similar to a hawk. It's a family of a hawk. Yes, Daniel.
Obtuse po.
Very good. Obtuse. Very good, Daniel. Next one. Cutie. Yes, Vien.
Acute po.
Very good. The word is acute. Okay. So this class is doing great so far. Paris. Ano pwedeng nating mabuo sa word na Paris? Paris. Any idea? Jack, you're raising your hand.
Pairs po.
Very good. The word is pairs. Okay. So good job, grade 7 diligence. You have successfully unlocked this treasure chest. So tingnan natin kung ano yung mga objects na nasa loob. I want you to take down or to list down all the objects that are in this chest. Kasi later on sa ating discussion, magagamit natin siya. Okay? So we have here a pair of scissors. Kindly list down. Pair of scissors. I also have in this chest a set square. It's a set square. Ayan. And I also have protractor sa aking chest. And of course, I also have a compass. Ayan. Okay, so let's now move to the discussion. So today, as I've said, we will be discussing kinds of angle and angle pairs. So the objectives of these lessons are first, of course, at the end of this lesson, you are expected to first classify the different kinds of angle. And then second, distinguish the special angle pairs. Okay? Yan. So this concept was already discussed to you during our discussion. So subsets of a lines, if you still remember. Diba? Subsets of a line, yung line segment and array. And upon discussing ray, pumasok itong angle. So we will define again what is an angle. When we say angle, it is a figure formed by two rays having a common endpoint. So nabubuo yung angle kapag nagkaroon tayo ng two rays na meron silang common endpoint. Doon nabubuo ang ating angle. Okay? Sige nga, if you still remember, what do we call the common endpoint of an angle? Or the common endpoint of two rays? Anong tawag natin sa kanya? Yung common endpoint ng two rays. Natatandaan pa ba yung lesson natin? Jack? Alicia? Sanjo?
Vertex po.
Very good, Alicia. We call it a vertex. So yung common endpoint natin sa angle, we call that the vertex. Okay? So as I've said, during our previous discussion, there are two ways to name an angle. Remember this class, we have two ways to name an angle. For example, we have this angle. It is an angle because we have two rays here, yung ray NB and ray NC, and we have this common endpoint, na point N. That's where the two rays meet. Okay? So yung first way to name an angle, we may use the vertex itself to name an angle. For example, itong angle na to, we can call this angle as angle N. We use the vertex. Or in symbol, we write it as angle N. We use this symbol to represent an angle. Okay? So the other way naman to name an angle, kasi ito class, itong way na to, naming an angle using vertex is only permissible if there is only one angle. Kapag meron lang isang angle sa vertex, sa isang vertex. Pero what if ganyan na yung ating angle? We can no longer use the vertex kapag ganyan yung ating angle. For example, we have to name this angle. Hindi natin pwedeng gamitin yung vertex na or yung point N to name the angle. But instead, we will be using three distinct points. So, ano yon? So we may call this angle, itong red na angle na to, we may call this as angle B and C or angle C and B. So as you notice, yung ating vertex, which is N, it's in the middle of its name. Ganun yung rule in naming an angle. Dapat yung vertex palaging nasa middle ng kanyang name. B and C or C and B, palaging nasa middle. Always remember that. And kapag in symbol, we write it as angle B and C, angle C and B. Pinapalitan lang natin yung word into a symbol or the angle symbol. Okay? So let's try to name this one. This angle. Can anyone who can name this angle? Yes, Sanjo.
Sir, ano po? YOT. Sir, pwede po
Y-
ako mag-say up.
Go ahead, Sanjo. Okay, YOT. Very good. How about,
OYT.
let's have JM. Meron pang ibang tawag sa angle na to.
Ay, OYT po.
OYT. Are you sure? Remember, in naming an
OTY.
angle, yung OTY. Okay, ulitin ko, in naming an angle, yung vertex should be in the middle of its name. Ano ba yung vertex natin dito? Yung vertex natin is point O. Dapat palagi siyang nasa middle.
TOY.
Oh, very good. Angle T or Y. Or pwedeng tawagin lang natin siyang angle O kasi meron lang isang angle sa isang vertex. Pwede ring angle YOT and angle TOY. Or what if we have to name this angle na nasa taas? How do we call this name or how do we name this angle na nasa taas? Elijah?
Angle L.
Kapag ganyan yung angle natin, ulitin ko, we can no longer use the vertex to name an angle. Kapag dalawang angles yung nabuo sa isang vertex, di natin pwedeng gamitin yung vertex to name an angle. So we will be using instead 3 distinct points. What are the points to name this angle? Angle.
OLV.
Very good, Elijah. OLV or pwede rin na VLO. For as long as, ulitin ko, nasa gitna yung vertex. Okay? So ito, papasadahin ko na lang since na-discuss naman. So, in measuring angles, meron tayong device na ginagamit. It's a protractor. We call it a protractor. So for example, I have this angle P and we have to measure yung kanyang degrees. So we will be using a protractor. So yung i-align lang natin yung ating vertex sa ating origin or sa center ng ating protractor, and dapat nakalapat din yung ating initial ray sa 0 degree. Then yung susukatan natin is yung terminal ray, the ray that rotates, this one. So sa given natin na example na to, yung angle P is 60 degrees since nag-fall siya sa 60 degrees. Ganun lang. And remember, the unit used for angle is degree. Okay? Now let's move with the kinds of angle. So we actually have 7 kinds of angle, pero sa inyong curriculum, 4 pa lang yung i-discuss natin kasi yung ibang angles sa higher math na i-discuss, other kinds of angles. So we will be discussing acute angle, right angle, obtuse angle, and straight angle. So let's start with this acute angle. Kapag sinabing acute angle class, tandaan lang natin ang kanyang definition. The measurement of its angle or the measurement of the angle is greater than 0 degree but less than 90 degree. Okay? Less than 90 degrees. Ganun lang siya. Kapag yung terminal ray natin or yung ray na umiikot, nasa pagitan siya ng 0 and 90, that is called an acute angle. So an example of this, tumingin sa camera ko, is this one. Do you see it, class? Okay, this one is an example of an acute angle. Nakikita ba sa aking camera? Or sa aking, okay, so this one is an example of an acute angle. Okay? Kapag naman right angle, exactly 90 degrees. Katulad nga ng ginawa natin kanina, dun sa ating motivation or dun sa ating exercise, when I say right angle, diba, I ask you to create an L shape using your hands. So that is the common representation of a right angle. Palaging letter L yung nabubuo natin. Okay? So this one is an example of a right angle. Ayan. Ayan, letter L siya. Kadalasan ganyan. Or pwede ring inverted yung ating right angle. Pero it's always letter L. Okay, for us to know that the angle is right angle, kadalasan nakakakita tayo ng ganitong square sa ating vertex. And we call it the foot of a perpendicular. Foot of a perpendicular. Okay? So this square indicates that the rays or that the lines are perpendicular. And remember, yung discussion natin sa lines in a plane, kapag perpendicular lines, di ba? These are lines that intersect at a right angle. Kaya gumagamit tayo ng square to indicate that this rays or that this angle is a right angle. Ganun lang siya. Clear? Do you have questions? If you have questions, class, please don't hesitate to ask, okay? Let's have the third one. Kung yung acute angle, the measurement is greater than 0 but less than 90 degrees, and then yung right angle naman is exactly 90 degrees, Kapag naman class greater than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees, we call it an obtuse angle. Ang tawag natin obtuse. So in this given figure or in this given angle, as you can see, itong red dotted line na to, it's an imaginary line that shows that this is a right angle. And as you can see yung terminal ring natin, it exceeds sa ating sa ating 90 degrees. So therefore, we may consider this angle as an obtuse angle. So an example of this, ito, ganyan, yung sa aking camera, if you can see it. Okay? So the other kind of angle, meron pa tayong ganitong uri ng angle and we call it we call it a straight angle. The measurement is exactly 180 degrees. Exactly 180 degrees. Okay, remember that. Clear? Ngayon, itong discussion natin about special angle pairs, papasadahin na lang natin. Kasi we will be discussing this further kapag nasa na tayo, angle addition postulate and yung parallel lines cut by a transversal line, doon natin mas maiintindihan yung special angle pairs. Okay, so meron tayong tinatawag na complementary angles. Kapag sinabing complementary angles, kindly read the definition. JM?
Complementary angle. These are angles those measure when added gives a sum equal to 90 degree.
Okay, very good. Thank you, JM. Kapag complementary angles, pair of angles sila na kung saan, kapag sinabing pair, syempre dalawang angles, okay? Pair of angles na kung saan kapag inad natin yung kanilang measurement, the sum is 90 degrees. Ganun lang siya. For example, kung yung angle A natin is, let's say for example, if it measures 45 or 35 degrees, and yung angle B natin, it measures 55 degrees. Kapag pinag-add yung 35 and 55, the sum is 90, tama? Kapag ganon, we may consider those angles as complementary angles. Ganun lang siya. Tatandaan lang natin na yung sum ng complementary angles is 90 degrees. Kapag naman supplementary angles, yung sum niya is 180 degrees. Kung complementary angles, 90 degrees yung sum. Sa supplementary, 180 degrees. Clear? Clear ba? Do you have questions? None yet? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's apply the concepts that we discussed sa ating example. So this is a constellation. We call it Ursa Major, or in other words or in other terms, we call it the Big Dipper. Meron ba tayong acute angle sa ating constellation na to? Do we have acute angles in this constellation? Anyone? Can you please name, using the points, can you please name the acute angles that are in this figure? Sige, just raise your hand. Yes, Sanjo.
Wait. FED.
Okay, very good. FED. And what's the other one?
DGF.
DGF, are you sure?
Wait. Huh?
Tama na yung
Wait.
FED.
EDG.
Yes, very good. So, meron tayong dalawang acute angles sa ating constellation na to. We have angle F. We have angle F, ED, and angle EDG. Okay? Very good, Sanjo. How about right angle? Do we have a right angle sa ating constellation? Meron ba? Yes, JM. Do we have a right angle in this constellation?
DGF po.
Actually, class, ganito yan. Ako din, nung una, I thought it's a right angle. However, when I used a protractor and I tried to measure this one, it's not a right angle. So, in this constellation, we don't have a right angle. But thank you, JM, for sharing your idea. Ako din, mas ako nalito din nung una. Kala ko it's a right angle. Pero upon measuring, as I've said, using a protractor, hindi pala siya right angle. Oh, acute angle, obtuse angles. Do we have obtuse angles in this constellation? Can you please name them? We have 4 obtuse angles in this constellation. Sige, Daniel.
Angle ABC po.
Very good. Angle ABC. Ano pa? Jack.
Angle CDG po.
Very good. We also have angle CDG. Ano pa? There are 4 obtuse angles. Yes, nakita ko kanina nagtataas ng kamay si JM. Ano pa yung other obtuse angle sa constellation na to?
Dagdagan po natin ng D, okay, D.
Okay. Nasabi na daw ni Dane. Sanjo, ano ba yung other obtuse angle natin dito?
DGF.
Yes, very good. DGF. Sabi ko nga hindi siya right angle, it's an obtuse angle. And for the last one, Leo, can you please name yung obtuse angle natin na hindi pa nabanggit?
CDE.
CDE. Yes, that is also an obtuse angle. Hindi ko siya, 5 pala yung obtuse angles natin dito. Hindi ko nakita to. Sorry.
Kung sasama yung B, sige.
Yung other obtuse angle pa natin dito is yung angle GFE. This one. Angle GFE. Okay? It's also an obtuse angle. And straight angle. Do we have a straight angle sa ating constellation na Ursa Major? Vien, do we have a straight angle in this constellation?
BCD po.
Yes, very good. We have angle BCD as a straight angle. Ngayon, di ba, as I asked you to list down the objects that are in this treasure chest, sige nga, which of the objects is an example of an acute angle? Ano sa palagay niyo yung example ng acute angle sa mga objects na pinakita ko kanina? Hindi yata sinulat.
Acute
Daniel?
po.
Yes, Sanjo.
Scissors.
Yes, the pair of scissors.
Love it. Joke lang. Yung set square po.
Tama, it's a pair of scissors. At saka yung
Set square po.
set square. Okay,
Then,
yung set square natin, tama, meron naman tayong dito, acute angle. Pero yung set square natin, kadalasan, it represents a right angle. Okay? Ayan. Kadalasan, it represents a right angle. So, nabanggit na ni Sanjo, it's a right angle. And then, yung compass natin, what kind of angle is formed sa ating compass? Gab? What kind of angle is formed sa ating compass? Jack. Call a friend, Leo. Jack, what kind of angles formed?
acute po.
Yes, very good. Ay, acute? Are you sure? Are you sure it's an acute angle? Remember yung definition?
Obtuse po.
Yes, it's an obtuse angle. Pati ako nadala. Very good, Jack. And syempre, yung protractor natin, it always represents a straight angle because it measures 180 degrees. Ito, the bottom of the protractor. Okay? Now, class, to conclude our discussion, I just want to give you this life realization. So, as humans, we may see life in different angles or in different perspectives. There are some of us who perceive life as a blessing, diba? It's indeed, yes, it's indeed a blessing from above. Pero there are some of us nakakalungkot na yung they perceive their life parang they regret that they are alive. There are some people na ganon because they perceive life as a series of problems. Pero kahit ganon, we may have varied perspectives regarding our lives. Just like a right angle, let us be like a right angle, di ba? Yung common representation ng right angle, yung kanyang terminal ray is always pointing upward. So just like a right angle, whatever challenges we may face, whatever problems na pagdaanan natin, we should always incline ourselves or our life sa taas to Him because we know that through Him, nothing is impossible. Tama? Okay, so I hope you enjoyed our discussion for this day. Actually, supposedly we should have an activity. However, wala na tayong time, so I will just posting an announcement sa ating Google Classroom. Just check it out later. And then just answer it. I will, the deadline is until 5 p.m. mamaya. Or I'll extend it hanggang 7 p.m. Sige. Okay? So I hope you learn. Yes, Daniel?
Ano po yung pinapagawa yun? Ano po yung page?
Nasa page, ano tayo? Ito, hindi ko na ano, pero it's just a recap naman. Wait, let me just check it. Sa aking presentation. If I'm not mistaken, it's on page 200. Ayun. Lumagpas na pala. Ay, I didn't, ano pala dito. It's on page 228. Okay, so, ayan. I hope you learned something today. Meron bang natutunan? Okay, it's great. Thank you for listening, class. Good day. Ay, nandiyan na ba yung next teacher nyo? Wala pa.
Sir, excuse me. Good morning.